Hey witches, welcome back to the channel. This is Hectarios. This is going to be our weekly / dark moon, new moon tarot reading for September 9th through the 15th, 2018. So, I am combining the dark moon and the weekly reading this week because the dark moon is on Sunday. So, it very much dominates the energy of this week, I feel. Or at least largely dominates the energy of this week. So, energetically, psychically, what I'm sensing in the aura of the earth and of the universe is, this is the second lunar cycle, or the beginning of the second lunar cycle from Hecate's return. So things will be strengthening in that sphere. Once again, she's taking action now with everything that I said before. So watch the past videos if you need a reminder or if you haven't seen them yet. And it just feels like the energy is still strengthening, basically. How that relates to everyone on a personal level and why I'm putting it in this video is it feels like this low gravity, low level energy that's steadily building up in the aspect of our magic. So, it almost feels like this low vibration or this low humming, this low frequency. And that is the energy of Hecate's aura as the world soul. Very much like an atmosphere around the earth. The astral light, the astral realm of magic itself, gaining strength again and building up. So, as that happens, our own personal power and magic will also be strengthening and increasing, because we all have personal power within ourselves, but with if you look up what the astral light is, it is the atmosphere, very much, of magic, which conducts our personal magic through the realms, basically, to our desired target or goal or whatever it is. It's a conducting, transmitting agent, and that is the body of Hecate on the world soul level. So, now that she's returned to the physical realm, that's what we have. But it is a process of building up to that physical strength again. So, like I said, right now, well, she's only been back since the blood moon in July. So she's only been back for a little over a month. So this process takes time to build up to the strength again. Imagine that someone was dead and then they were revived back to life. They're not going to instantly just go back to the same level of strength or vitality or whatever you have, whatever you want to call it, immediately the next day. It takes time to build up strength again. It's almost like physical therapy or something on that level, if you want to use that as an analogy. That's kind of what's happening on the energetic level, on the spiritual level with Hecate right now. And since she's the source of all magic, her returning strength and, more so stabilization into the physical realm. That's what it really is. I just use the analogy of, weakness and strength. But what it really is her spirit is restabilizing itself, re-strengthening itself into the physical realm. It's becoming more grounded. Okay? So as that occurs and continues to happen in advance, that energy is building up for us also to use and interact with, and for our magic to impress upon and transmit through. Okay? So hopefully this all makes sense to you. Once again, if you watch all my past videos about Hecate's descent, what Hecate is, not just who she is, but what she is on the energetic, physical level and all of that, this will all make sense to you because you already know. But if, you know, you're a newer subscriber or viewer or whatever, you're going to have to watch all the past videos to understand that fully, if you don't already. But anyway, I brought that into this reading because I feel like that is a major thing at work with this dark moon, and with the next few dark moon to full moon cycles to come as well. So that is strengthening, that is building up, and I won't be surprised if that comes up in the cards. So this also dark moon is happening in Leo. So that is an energy sort of a rebirth of our self-image and our self-identity. And I feel, because Leo is usually about, you know, the image that you portray to others, the way you present yourself, your personal power, and that type of thing. But I very much feel like with this dark moon in particular, it's more so of a rebirth of our self-image to ourself, like how we view ourselves. And I'm sure that that will, in turn, affect how we present ourselves to others. So, also Mercury is present in Leo. So there is a communication aspect to this. But once again, I feel like this is internal for some reason. I feel like it will relate to, you know, what we think about ourselves, our inner dialogue, how we talk to ourselves, how we have internal conversations with ourselves, and just different things like that. Also prayer, our communication with spirits and stuff like that too, in the spirit world. I feel like all of that is largely tied into this. So it feels more internal than external to me. So with that said, let me show y'all the Witch's Almanac for this week, for the 9th through the 15th. Once again, you can pause it. I know I keep saying I'm only showing y'all the week, but I mean I'm showing y'all the entire whole month every time I say that. But yes. And then let's get right into the cards. I'm using the Lumina Tarot by Inner Hue. Now I align myself with the Most High God and the Holy Spirit Hecate. Please communicate the truth to me through these cards so that I may be guided for the highest good of all. Thank you, and so let it be. Please give us your divine guidance for this dark moon and new moon and this week, so that we can use the energies for our highest good, greatest success, and joy. Thank you, and so let it be. I'm going to go ahead and do 4 cards. Okay. So as seems to be the norm lately, there's very strong energies in this reading. So there's 2 major arcana on either end. There's a court card and an ace in the middle. So super strong energies at work with this. The first card represents sort of us as a sort of significator. And then the other 3 cards will represent the week and the dark moon energy. So, the Hanged Man is a significator. When I look at this card, it very much does symbolize that rebirth, that new perspective, that new way of looking at ourselves, others, how we relate. The Hanged Man is about a situation that, or rather it can be about a situation that isn't going to change until we change. It's an energy, to use more general terms, that won't give way or change until we change. There's something that we have to change, the way that we're looking at it, the way that we feel about it, the way that we're approaching it, something about ourselves that we can change. And typically this is about, you know, changing to a higher perspective, looking at the situation almost as if you're looking at it from the future, looking into the past. You're looking at it with this clear vision of, this is just a temporary situation. It does come to an end. It does advance. It does change. And, you know, what is the higher value of the situation? What is the higher knowledge or lesson in the situation? There's always wisdom that we can gain from everything that we face in life, the negatives and the positives. There's always a positive aspect or a seed of a positive aspect in even the most darkest negative situation that we face or go through, because we still gain wisdom from it. And that wisdom is positive. So, you know, what situations, this could be multiple things, what situations are going on in your life where you could benefit from using the Hanged Man energy? You might already be doing this. Since this comes up, as a significator, you might already be shifting your perspectives. And I feel like this just emphasizes once again what I was saying about the dark moon, new moon happening in Leo with Mercury. It's this rebirth. And this is really on an internal level, because it is about shifting your consciousness. And that's another thing that actually goes along with Hecate's return, the astral light, the world soul. That is an aspect of our consciousness. So as she's returning and re-strengthening in the physical realm, our consciousness will undergo these transformations to a higher perspective in many, many ways. And this is also a card about sacrifice. And it still ties back into that, you know, message about changing your perspective. You know, you could consider that as a spiritual sacrifice. looking past your, lower self, your egotistical, not necessarily am I saying ego is all derogatory, because we all have an ego, we all need it. I shouldn't have to say that again to the viewers who have been watching my videos. But when I talk about ego, I don't mean it in a negative sense that people portray it these days. I think ego is necessary. It's basically just, that Leo energy, our self-image, how we present to others. And it can be positive or negative, but we all need it and we all use it all of the time, every single day. Every time we interact with someone, ego is involved. However, the will of your ego can oftentimes come in conflict with the will of the divine, or of your higher self that is one with the divine. And in those instances, in those situations, it can be considered as a sacrifice to sort of look past your ego's will, your lower self's will, and sort of let that go, give it up, sacrifice it, and surrender to the higher will, which is also still you. Your higher self is one with the divine. There's no separation there. So it is still you. It is still your true will, but it can diverge and be different from your lower self's will. And, a good example of this is, dealing with a breakup or a divorce or something like that, where you may not want to give up that person. Your ego will does not want to let go of that attachment, but it is still for the highest good and for the highest will that you do. And there's a lot of different situations that could be going on like that. It could be happening in your workplace, in your work life. You don't want to give up a job, but the universe is trying to get you out of that situation because there's something better waiting for you. Okay? These are the type of examples and things that this card could be talking about. When you apply this energy to the physical, to, your outer reality and the situations it could be. But at the internal level, it is about, shifting your perspective. And understanding that, the outer situations and circumstances, they're always temporary, whether they're good right now or bad right now. It doesn't matter. They're temporary. They're not permanently going to stay like that. And you need to understand that and be accepting that change happens. Don't resist it. A lot of times that is when our lower will, our ego, is at odds with our higher self. When we're resisting change. When we don't want something to come to an end. Or when we want something to come to an end early that isn't supposed to come to an end yet. Things like that. So if you're facing any situations like that, or facing multiple situations like that, just remember there's guidance waiting for you. If you tap into this inner wisdom, if you tap into this higher perspective, you will come to see the entire circumstances from a different light. And once again, it almost feels like you're viewing it from the future, looking back at the past. Because you're at a state of peace and knowing that that situation was not permanent. And it didn't last. So, this is an interesting card and it's very powerful. It shows me that this rebirth energy, this transformational energy of consciousness is key and underlying the rest of this week. So, the next card is the Queen of Swords. She's popping back up. Excuse me. Queen of Swords is popping back up. So I feel like this ties in with the dark moon energy. The dark moon is always a time of severity. It's always a time of intense, fierce energy. And that can go either ways, in a positive or a negative action, words, outcomes. So the Queen of Swords ties into that because the Queen of Swords is that fierce energy. It's about walking your path, fiercely with independence and almost not caring what anyone else thinks or feels, or does or doesn't do. It's being almost, completely self-reliant in that regard. And self-centered in that regard. Excuse me. And once again, that could be a negative or a positive thing. Excuse me. It's all in how you do it and how you use this energy. And this might very much tie into what I was talking about, this rebirthing energy of the self-image. You could come into this week very much as the Queen of Swords energy. It's almost a period or a position of complete detachment from other people and from other situations. It's almost like one-sidedness, fixating, almost near obsessing on your path and your goals, to the extent that you're not paying attention or focusing on anyone else, or even necessarily even caring about anyone else or anything else. It's that level of determination and focus on your path. And this could be positive or negative. It all depends on how you deal with it and how you use this energy. You can use this energy very much in a positive way. But it can also be sort of go into the spheres and the realms of inconsideration of others and cruelty in that regard of neglect. So make sure that you balance out this energy anytime that it does come up in your life. There's ways that you can just communicate what's going on in a polite way, that you just say, like, you need alone time, or you need time to focus on yourself in your own life. And that's okay. That's fine. And if anyone doesn't understand that, they're not respecting you. As long as you're communicating it clearly, So that's a powerful card to start the week off. And it is the card of getting shit done. So it's very much, I noticed this thing in like TV shows and movies, something that I really find inspiring and I really like to see portrayed in movies and TV. This concept of the determined witch. You look at different TV shows and movies once again, and there'll be a witch character who sort of just lets shit keep happening, and they're not doing anything about it. But at some point, they snap. Something happens that pushes them too far. It's the last straw, and then they become the determined witch. And they don't let anything stop them. They tap into whatever unreserved powers or other sources of power that they need to, and they get shit done. And very often save the whole day of the series or the episode or the movie or whatever. And that's what I feel with this card as well. That's what it reminds me of. It's the determined witch. And sometimes that can come across as cruel and things like that. But it's that energy of being pushed past your limit and getting to that point to where you feel like you already are alone and you already are dealing with everything by yourself in some kind of a way. And then just pushing past that limit and calling on these reserves of power to deal with it and get it done. So that was like a sort of inspired message that just came into me to include with that card. But that is what it makes me think of quite often when it comes up. Just once again, make sure you balance it out with, you know, love. Make sure that you're using that energy with love and in the right ways and for the right reasons. And don't, you know, overdo it in an inconsiderate, cruel way or tyrannical way. Be considerate of others as you wield this energy. Okay? The next card is the Ace of Wands. Right in the middle of the week. And I love this card. You know, this is that creative power. This is brandishing and holding your wand and creating something new. The aces are all new, pure energy. And the Ace of Wands is about, you know, your social life, your goals, your projects, your agendas, your relationship to others in that regard. And I feel it also relates to work and career, ambition, progress, growth. And this could be in many different aspects and areas of your life, but I do feel like it's highlighted in the things that I said. With the Ace of Wands, you know, this is the perfect card to come after my little determined witch thing with the Queen of Swords. This is about taking the initiative, using that determined energy, doing what you got to do, being the catalyst of these changes or these new goals or new projects or new agendas, being the one that sets that creative current and pathway in motion. This is a card of willpower in that regard, and will in action. So this is a determined witch card as well. But really just putting that into action. So that's a beautiful card. And you know, it's when we do that, the purity. The aces are the card of purity. And they're the card, they're the cards, usually it's a hand holding the symbol of the suit. And we have the hand holding the wand. And this hand is representing God's hand, or the divine energy. It's that purity, that level of purity. And when we act in accordance with our true will, when we know what our true will is as opposed to our lesser will, and we act on that energy, we are acting in accordance with our own higher self, which once again is as one with the divine. So we're acting as one with the divine. Our will is united with the will of the divine, and that is the most pure state of will. That is the most powerful aspect. And it very much is when you are this determined energy, this determined witch character, and then you can join that and temper it with love for the highest good of all, okay? And then the final card for this week is the Emperor. And once again, this is sort of a combination of the Queen of Swords and the Ace of Wands. The Emperor is a very fiery wand energy, but it's also a very indomitable Queen of Swords type energy. It's the Emperor. Absolute will, absolute authority, absolute command and control, tempered with love of what you're responsible for. You know, the emperor rules an empire. So, you know, everything that the emperor does is in service to the empire that he is serving in rulership of. And that's important to remember. Once again, that just reiterates what I was saying with the Queen of Swords. Make sure you're balancing out that energy with love and using it for the right reasons and the right ways. Not in a tyrannical, selfish way. In a way that truly does serve the highest good for yourself and for the other people in your life, okay? So be considerate of the people in your life and the people around you, and how what you're doing can benefit the world, okay? The emperor, the king, the president, those are positions of service, not selfish rule, or they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be positions of service. Anything in the government, any office that can be held, you know, police officers, those are positions of authority, but they're positions of service to the community and to the people that they serve. They have a responsibility to that. And so with the Emperor card, there is this extreme energy of authority and power, but it needs to be tempered with, you know, how are you using that energy? What are you using it for? Who are you using it for? Are your ways of using it altruistic to what you should be doing with it? Are you remembering the oneness? Are your goals big enough? That's another thing that comes up, or rather that has been coming up in my mind lately, in my personal meditations and stuff. And I've been wanting to share this. I was going to do a Facebook post about it, and I've said things like this before, but it's just coming back into my mind again lately. You know, are your goals big enough? Are your goals limited by this lower self ego perspective? Just self-gratification, you know, your own wealth, your own love life, your own job. You know, are your spiritual, magical goals, is that all they are ever? Or do you expand your goals? Do you ever think about how can my energy and power serve the world? You know, how can I use magic to bring positive social change in general? Has nothing to do with me personally in my, you know, lower self, physical body-centered ego life, but the life of the world, the society. How can you use your energy and your magic and the things that you do to benefit that and to cause positive change in those regards and aspects? This could be as simple as, on the practical, physical level, just going and donating some things to a charity, or donating money to a charity or something. Things like that. But at the magical, spiritual level, you know, this could be like casting spells for protection of your town. If there's an area in your town that's very violent, you know, drugs and all of that type of stuff, you know, you could go and cast a spell in that area to cleanse it and to banish evil entities and evil energies. Think about how you can use your magic and your energy to serve your community in some kind of a way. Immediately, that's right around you where you live, but also of the world in general. You know, think about things like that. Is your magic big enough? Are you doing big things with your magic? Or is your magic small? Okay? So, that's an important thing to think about. Excuse me. In the ancient times, you know, there was basically a witch for every village. There was a witch that served the community. They were not self-centered. They were very often living very humble, meager lives, you know, in the woods or on the edge of town and things like that. And they served their community. People came to them for help. How are you using your energy um, in any kind of way like that? Are you even doing any kind of thing like that? Think about that as well, very deeply. Meditate on that. Don't ever stop thinking about that, honestly. That should be something that is always part of your practice in some kind of a way. Even if just completely alone by yourself, you just cast spells from your house every so often to, you know, bring a little bit of blessing and protection and stuff like that to your community. It could be that simple. You don't even have to talk with anyone else about it or, you know, interact with anyone in the community on this level. You could just do it in your own privacy of your own home and still just keep doing that as part of your practice. So, you know, that definitely is the way to balance out that determined witch energy. You know, maybe instead of casting a money spell for yourself or a love spell for yourself or a healing spell for yourself, whatever it is, you know, maybe you can just cast a spell like that on your entire community and you will be included in the benefit of that because you're part of the community too. And just think about how you can use your magic in a bigger way that benefits more people as well as yourself, okay? That's obviously probably one of the most important messages of this reading. And I feel this all ties in. This is a rebirth. This is a transition to a higher perspective, a higher will. Everyone who has the ability to do magic and the capacity to do it in a focused, powerful way, it's a gift. It's a gift from the divine. It's not just meant for you alone. Big shocker. It's not just meant for you. It's not just meant to serve yourself. It's meant to serve the world. Okay? So think about that. Maybe there's situations that you're dealing with where, you know, you're casting spells for yourself to deal with that situation or to get out of that situation or whatever, but maybe you need to be casting spells for the other people involved, and things like that, okay? Think about all of these different things, tie it into your own life where it fits, but this is a very good reading. And that is a transformation of consciousness. That is an expansion of consciousness, using and thinking about things in a different way. So hopefully that helps you all. Thanks for watching the video. Please leave me a comment with your feedback. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Once we get to 4,000 subscribers, I'm going to do another giveaway. And I'm really much looking forward to that and excited for it. We're almost there. And if you would like a private reading or spiritual services, spell work, or any kind of handmade magical talismans or charms or crafts like dolls and stuff like that, get in contact with me through the methods below, through my email, Facebook, or Instagram, and we can discuss prices and all of that. But yes, thanks for watching. And I hope that, you know, you all use this energy and think about these things and start making your magic bigger, okay? Hail to the witches, hail Hecate, and blessed be.